All right, this is the teardown of a B18 A1. Getting it prepped for some rods and pistons. Try to make some decent pounds of boost. Have some fun. Here we go. Basically, got to get it all pulled apart, check for spec. If it needs to be sent off, I'll send it off to the machine shop. If not, then pretty much I'll hone it myself. I am gonna do new valve seals, seat the valves. Pretty much that's it for the head. Down the road, I'd like to do some springs, retainers, and keepers, but right now, with the budget, all I have is what I have to spend. I know a lot of people would be using a rubber mallet. I ain't got one. I just recently had my service truck broken into, so they stole pretty much everything out of the back of my toolbox. So I'm using what I got. These do have an arrow of which way they face. Just make sure you keep obviously intake on intake, exhaust on exhaust, and you won't have no problems. This engine is bought with, I think, ring issues. I got it from a friend that basically swapped to a different engine. I mean, everything else looks really clean. Not like deep scratches. A little bit of indent right there, but nothing major. I might do some cams down the road. This is something too, you want to keep the exhaust cam on the exhaust side, intake on the intake. I did snag the cap from this one because the engine I have in my 4-door sedan right now was from a car that rolled. So the valve cover was pretty much smashed, and it actually broke the eye off of where you lock your cams for set timing. So I used the valve cover off of this one. And the other one's running fine. It's making a decent amount of boost, but I just want a more reliable engine so I can make higher pounds of boost and not have no worries of blowing it up. Nobody wants to blow their engine up. I mean, sometimes it's fun, but I mean, it's fun when you get to break it and you get to rebuild it. But money-wise, it sucks. Really windy out here in Washington. Really windy. All right. Now, I do want to check all of these. Make sure that they're not completely shot. I think this engine had over 200,000. So it's probably not going to be super close to spec. I'm hoping. But like I said, I will send it off to the machine shop if necessary. Or I might just send it. I'm pretty much just setting them all in because basically I'll readjust each of them down the road if I decide to reuse this. I might not use the head. I might just use the block because I was thinking of doing an LS VTEC, but we'll have to wait on that because over here in Washington it's kind of hard to find a VTEC head. cleaning it up a little bit. So why this one was pulled, I basically got it from my friend. I rebuilt the head, new valve seals and stuff like that. And I threw it in the car and it smoked really bad. But I had like a major misfire, like timing was off, but timing was all set correctly. And so basically retimed the engine multiple different times and it still had that issue. So I decided just to pull it and store it in my shop by my tire machine, and figured down the road I could use the block to build it. I'm just hoping there ain't cracks, or I'm hoping it was just the rings that went bad, but we'll find out here in a minute. And I am gonna try to pull the rods out on this one. If not, then I'll make like a part 2. I'm just trying to basically get it tore down. So I know a machine guy, so it's not like I have to wait for months on end before I get my stuff back. I can actually get this thing dropped off to him, let's just say today, and it'll be ready by Wednesday. And today is Monday. So it doesn't take my machine guy that long. He does real good work here in the Yakima Valley. But I kind of like to do everything here at the shop, because it's always better when you give that, well, I did it, versus sending it to somebody else. I do have a method for fixing like warped heads and stuff, so like I don't normally send my heads off to be decked or anything. I'll set like a table up, and then I'll put like a 5/8 sheet of plywood on top, and then I'll put a piece of glass on top and glue sandpaper down to it, and then just slowly sand it away until it's right, pretty much. So like I'll run a piece of steel flat stock from here to here, from here to here, and I'll even go crazy, like I'll do it here, here, and here, just to test with the feeler gauge, just to make sure that pretty much everything's right. And I'm pretty sure these are like a 14. So a lot of people like worry about the torque or like the pattern that you're supposed to go. I mean, I really don't. Like if you just stay like, I think it's like 1, 2, I could be wrong. I mean, I didn't look up any of the charts, but pretty much I'm just gonna break this thing down. I'm not too worried about anything breaking or warping or anything like that, because this motor, the head's been cracked a lot, so it's not like, oh, I'm gonna damage it. Like I'm super worried. So like I went here and here, so I'm gonna go here and then obviously if I started here, I'm gonna go here and then here. But then when I go to torque the head down, I'll follow what like Honda wants. I mean, everybody does it different. Oh, wow, that's nasty. So we're just gonna cheat the system a little bit. So refix you guys. Normally I don't film. I kind of just work. And I had a friend who was like, dude, you do some cool stuff. Why don't you, like, you know, make a video and put it like on YouTube and stuff? And I'm like, well, would somebody watch it, you know? And he was like, oh yeah, he's like, the stuff you do is like pretty sick. And I'm like, all right, well, the most I can do is just give it a shot. It might be good, might not be. and I will not reuse these. I know some people like to, and they'll be like, oh, you can reuse that like 3 times. Well, when you boost an engine, they like to stretch no matter what. Honda bolts do. I mean, I have a couple forged Mazda B2200 engines, and their head studs, I put over 20 pounds of boost on them, and nothing stretched. So it's just depends on what type of engine you are building, and go from there. Oh, missed one. Shit happens. Grab hold of that. Fuck. That bitch is tight. I get it, I'm using power tools. A lot of people would be like, that is so bad, and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, it's my engine. It's not a customer's car. But if it was a customer's car, then I would take more caution with it. But I've rebuilt so many engines, like, I'm not worried. And these were replaced when I put this head on. So we got all of them out. Set them bastards right there. Let's pull the head off. Now let's check the bottom. This kind of looks like maybe one of the valve seats didn't seat. But we'll look at that here in a minute. Let's just keep our tear down going. Another thing too, as I want to explain, a lot of people don't like using this style head gasket. Why? Because boost will sometimes blow out in between the cylinders. If you have it torqued right and you're running a decent amount of boost, as long as if everything else is set up nice and strong, you're fine. I mean, I prefer running this type of head gasket from like O'Reilly's versus like the 3-layer metal gasket. So what's nice about this is if you don't machine your head and you're trying to just do this at your house, you can actually unbolt everything. I already had the timing belt, water pump, everything out of this motor, so that's why I didn't do that. You can actually buy the thicker mill head gasket, and it will cover a little bit of warpage, not a lot, but enough to seal. And as you see, I never machined the head. So as you can see, this guy was sealed really good. You can actually see the imprints. So it's not like it was leaking from a head gasket issue. So that knocks out that whole, this type of head gaskets are garbage. I run them all the time. Like I said, I put 22 pounds on one engine, 20 on the other, and then I have a little single cam with rods and pistons that put 32 pounds under here. And if it wasn't for spinning a rod bearing, the engine would still be good. It went bad because obviously something was wrong with the tune or something like that, and I was at the track and it just decided to pop. Still won the race, but it popped. It hurt it pretty bad. But maybe down the road we'll get that one torn apart and get new rods and pistons in it, put it together, and maybe try to find a home for it. And these head gaskets are warranted too. So you can always take it back and run it down to the O'Reilly's or AutoZone or wherever you buy your stuff and have have them warranty it. That's if you want to. Not a lot of people go through that. But if you're spending like 58 bucks on a head gasket, why not? Because then you don't have to pay for it again. And most O'Reilly's, if you keep the package for the head gasket, a lot of times they won't question you. They'll just return it. Especially if you go into that store a lot. And I go into the auto parts stores a lot, obviously, because I run a business, but they're really nice people and they'll try to do the best that they can for you. I mean, not all the guys down there know what they're doing, but most of them do. And you're also, if you're in the Washington side, they do rebuild rotary powers too. That's what made me pretty much want to be a mechanic, because I learned everything I could about them. And I decided, well, after you rebuild so many of them engines, it's like, well, I kind of have to learn something new. So I picked up my first engine and I rebuilt it, and it didn't go as well. I was learning about ring gappage and all of that kind of stuff. And so now I can just do it with my eyes closed. But don't be discouraged. People have their flaws. And when it comes to these, like, don't look at it as, oh, first try Friday, I'm gonna knock it out, like it's gonna be like perfect. Unless you have somebody that has done it before and can walk you through the whole process, 10 to 1, you're gonna fuck it up. And I've learned from the past, I didn't have that. Internet was big, but it wasn't as big as what it is now. So you can just get on Google and just research it. So I had to pretty much trial and error. And luckily, things I did were never issues with like rod bearings or anything like that. It was actually rings. I didn't get the right measurements for my pistons and that kind of stuff. And when people say, oh, it's a lot easier to rebuild a piston engine, or no, it's a lot harder to rebuild a rotary than it is a piston, and I'm like, no. As long as your stuff falls into spec of a rotary, they're easy to throw together. You can throw one together in an hour. These are so sentimental. You fucking are wrong on one gappage, the thing ain't gonna run. And like rotaries, what's nice about rotaries is as soon as they start, they run or not. And you don't have to worry about changing the oil freaking 4 times to make sure that your rod bearings and your rings and everything else have seated. And see, on these motors you do, you gotta check everything. You gotta make sure this is okay and that's okay. And then if you really fuck up, now you have to turn around and start all over. Maybe you damaged your pistons, maybe you didn't. I know guys that they'll be at the track and they'll melt a hole right in the top of their piston, and they'll fucking pull it out and they'll put a new piston in it and call it a day. And they'll keep running at the track and just keep racing. Sometimes the coolant neck can be a pain in the ass to pull out, but it's all good. I got it. Let's get rid of this little breather box. I don't need this. I want to break the whole thing down, because I really want to make it like new again, especially if I'm taking all this time and investing all this money into it and stuff. Yeah, it's not a lot of money. I'm not going out and buying the best stuff I can. I kind of want to just put what I can in it, run it, see what lasts. If it breaks, it breaks. That's the fun about it. You just tear it apart and redo it again. And just have fun while doing it. That's what, you know, doing this kind of stuff is just about having fun. I mean, I'm not a, you know, I'm a professional, but it's not like I rebuild engines every day, 20 a day. I do a lot of custom welding for cars and intercoolers and manifolds and stuff like that, so like shit can come and go. And I mean, I would like to make more videos for all you guys. I'm hoping my contact is like okay, if it looks decent. I don't really have a camera, so it's not, I'm just using my iPhone. Decent oil filter on it. I mean, not the best, but we're pretty much broke down. Definitely need to pull the crank pulley off. Remember, I think that's like a 19. Look at that. Definitely would help out if you guys would like the video and hit the notification to see more videos, which show me that you guys are interested in seeing what I'm doing. And if that's the case, then I would videotape more often, because I do work on a lot of random cars. And if you have any kind of questions or anything like that, feel free, you can email me and I'll try to answer them the best I can. I do have a couple videos up there right now. It's like basic stuff for like the Mazda trucks. I have like a Mega Squirt 2 built standalone that I built. Feeling it's gonna pour out some stuff, not a lot, but some. All right, for right now, I think I should spin it around so that you guys can see kind of what I'm doing. And I'll just work over the top. Because this is kind of like to help, you know, certain people out if they have any kind of questions, how to do something, or like I said, I am not a guy who rebuilds these engines all the time. Some people have a terminology for this, but I call it like the Windex tray or whatever it's called. There is the right term for it, but not everybody calls it by the book. It could be like, this is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get inside. There could be metal shavings. There could be chunks of rod. You never know. But the pickup's pretty clean in the inside. I mean, it's hard for you guys to see, but it's really clean. It's not like crazy. And that will get all clean too, so I think we got all of it. Yes, we did. And even the bottom. So there is some, I don't know if that's metal. That's the copper spray. But well, we're getting there. A little more to go, and we can basically call this done for the day. I do want to try to like get the rods out, get the crank, and then send it to the machine shop. Now, always know, never, unless you have like a brand new block that has never had any miles put on it, do not order pistons until you check that diameter. Because you could do that and you could be out having to wait even longer to send your stuff out to somebody or back to the company that you ordered it from to be able to get new rods, or not rods, sorry, pistons. Basically, rods are okay. The clearances you need to watch out for is off your crank and how bad the scarring of the crank is. But if it doesn't look bad, then 10 to 1, it takes a lot of force to break these cranks. I mean, other people will say, oh, well, no, it's real easy. Well, they probably ran boost with not a good tune and blew it up that way, or took a whole bunch of timing out, or did something like that. I'm not a tuner. Like, I'm starting to learn how to do my own, so I don't have to pay anybody to go and tune my shit. Like, I can just do it myself. Especially on the Honda. I used to tune the Mega Squirt stuff is pretty simple, but and we're gonna look at, oh shit, we're also gonna look at all the, pretty much the spec of like each rod bearing. So we just want to make sure that everything is okay. I mean, I don't want to put out a whole bunch of money into a crank and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's not, maybe where you guys are from, but there ain't a lot of these engines at the junkyard. I think at You Pull It here, there's one. So, I mean, your odds if something's bad is pretty shitty. Like, you're gonna have to like pretty much buy a brand new crank. And as you see, there is some metal, not bad. It's probably ring. I mean, everything looks pretty clean up in the inside. So, I mean, we're probably gonna have to send the crank because there is a groove, but have the crank polished and then check for larger bearings. But we'll see after we get the whole thing torn apart and I mean, that sucks for me because like I was kind of trying to do everything here at the shop versus sending it to somebody else and having to pay a shit ton of money. I mean, I still have my buddy that has a machine shop, but you know, his time ain't free. He's cheap to me, but he's still expensive, if that makes any sense. So my thing is looking at all of these and making sure, I mean, the rings still, they look good. They're not cracked or anything, but there is a lot of scarring on the piston. A lot. I mean, no chunks missing out, so that's good. So we did have a flaw somewheres. The guy probably didn't change the oil regularly. Nothing's cracked on the gaps and stuff, so rods are not bent. I mean, that bearing looks okay. Not like perfect, because you can see like some like material got up inside on the crank. But I want to kind of try to keep everything together. And always note too, a lot of people don't catch it, but there is like a notch and a notch on this one that overhangs. Even if you're like not running this engine again, I always suggest like lining them up. So obviously if it doesn't go that way, then it goes the opposite way. And that's still just like that. I mean, that's kind of goofy looking, but that's exactly how it should sit in there. Offsetting on both sides. Simple shit. Somebody could have put this thing together too and did it wrong. But this is piston number 1. And it did fire, so. So we'll just set this guy right there. And then we'll move to the next. I am going to put the crank pulley bolt back in. So then I can rotate the engine. So I can keep moving. And I am going to do some like ARP rod bolts and head studs. So, I mean, right there, that's some money. But I'm going to hold off on ordering the ARP head studs until if I can find an LS VTEC, or well, this is the LS, but the VTEC head. I think it would be pretty sick to have an LS VTEC fully built bottom end, stock on the top. I've never had a VTEC in a B series, so I think that'd be pretty cool to run some VTEC power and see what it can do. I don't have all day here, but I'm gonna try to get as much as I can done on this one. Just try to keep trucking along. And if you hear that sound, that's the TV up in the office. I'm not too sure if you're allowed to have like music playing or anything like that because of copyright protection and stuff, but I don't want to get like fined for it. So I just have like regular TV, or yeah, Hulu TV going. Oh no, not Hulu, YouTube TV. this one off real quick. Ooh, that one's stuck. Come on. Thank you. That is not a good sign. That bearing looks good. It looks, to me, in my opinion, it looks like the bearing was getting ready to spin. Oh yeah. That's where all our material came from. Look at that. Look at all that material in there. It's like the bearing was missing. It was I think yeah, spun bearing. It's hard to tell. Didn't mark up the crank too bad, but that's crazy. Very crazy. Oh yeah, it definitely. Look at that, people. They like bent it. Like it doesn't even want to like clip in. That's crazy. I knew something was up with this because, oh shit, the bottom one's like that too. It's like missing chunks out of it. Sweet. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, that would be like so terrible. But in my eyes, I'm like, well, right on. So like I can fix it now. Just chug along and well, that's not what I wanted, but that's okay because I'm not running these anyway. Alright, so we had a couple bearing failures. Look at that one. It's like totally just completely gone. You know, I think cylinder 1, 2, 3, I think cylinder 4 was spinning. It's like missing chunks. So that's crazy. Very crazy. So I mean, that's in a way that's good sign. In a way, a lot of people would be like, "How's that good? That's like terrible. Like, what are you gonna do now? This or this?" And I'm like, "Well, do it right. Send it to the right place, and if I have to, if the crank is like shot, but it doesn't. It honestly doesn't look like it even got to the crank." Because I pulled the engine out and was like, yeah, I'm not gonna run it. And then I found one. But it sounded like a choo-choo train. It didn't sound good at all. It sounded really bad. And so, like, it was time to just pull it apart, leave it alone, and try to do something else. Like, I was thinking at one point, I was like, maybe a K-series swap, but I was like, wow, I was like, the funds, and everybody's doing K-series. I also thought about maybe hitting up some people and doing a rotary swap in to my 4-door sedan. But to really find somebody that would be down to make the plate for a transmission, like, that was kind of hard. I know there's a couple places, but they wanted some real high dollar numbers. Yeah, so it looks like just number 4 or number 3 was the one that was spinning. But thing is how does that bearing look when I pull it off? And even if it pulls off, yeah, that's really windy. Oh, wow, yeah, bearing 4 was shot too. Nice. Let me see if I can try to, here, pop this one out real quick. Doesn't even feel like I even have rings on that one either. I guess I could just read it and just throw it all back together, but said, I want to do some rods and pistons. I think it would be real fun, a fun little build. Look at that, that's crazy. It's like most of like the color like broke off in that chunk. So that explains why, yeah, well, we won't look at that one. When we changed the oil, I kept seeing like particles. And I was telling myself, I'm like, man, this thing is like really like, that copper spray is like really working through it. Well, that wasn't the case. It wasn't the copper spray. It was bearing failure. And at that point, like, just pull the, oh shoot, you want to spin, don't you? Pull the bearing out and, or not pull the bearing, but pull the motor out and just call it done. And I threw a little single cam in it just to get me to shop and back home every day. And well, brother-in-law put it together and sat there and said it had real low miles. That wasn't the case. It had bad rings. It smoked. It looked like a choo-choo train. And so I pulled it out early the next day. And I started getting on the phone, calling some wrecking yards, seeing what they had. I found a couple of B20s. This guy in Oregon had a B20 for sale, but I just didn't really like, because I like to run boost. And I've heard a lot of shit from people saying like, yeah, B20s can handle boost in a way, but they like to crack in between the cylinders. And pretty much I was recommended to pull the head, put a block guard and this and that, and I'm like, oh shit, I just want to run some boost and not have to worry about like pulling the head and doing a water pump, timing belt, tensioner, because my service truck was just costing me way too much money in fuel. I got a good little B18B1, I think it is, out of a rolled, like I said, a rolled 94 Acura Integra. Picked the swap up for, I think they were wanting like 600 bucks for it, but I was like, yo, there's parts missing from it, and I don't buy engines unless I can hear them run. Because growing up, like, I would buy these engines from people from Facebook Marketplace and like Craigslist, and the shit would be bad. And so I got tired of wasting money and money and money and money. So I said, screw it, that I'm gonna buy from serious people, things that have no issues, that guaranteed to run and drive. So, like, I didn't want to be getting screwed over anymore. I mean, honestly, it's never fun to get screwed over. One time I bought like 4 B18A1 blocks, full engines, I mean. After said and done, they were getting for $500 a swap. I'd get home, try to start the car wouldn't start. So I'm like, what the hell? Like, what am I getting screwed over? And then I buy another one, and I'd buy another one, and I'd buy another one. Same thing, same thing, same thing. So I pretty much got tired of it. I just said, fuck it. I'm not buying from anybody anymore unless I hear it run. And I've had a lot of people be like, oh, it runs. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see it run though. Because just because somebody says something doesn't actually mean nothing. You're going off of their word. And there's a lot of scam artists out there that will have no problem taking your money and not answer your phone call. As simple as that. They look at it as, oh, well, we got him. Now he's gonna go home, he's gonna put it in, and it's gonna be fucked. They know it. That's why they do it. I don't sell anything unless I can put a compression gauge to it and a leak down test. Then I know after I rebuild an engine, I know it's good. I am in the trying to put together a engine stand so I can do like engine starts and breaking engines in. Maybe I'll make a video of me building one for like the Honda motors and stuff. I think a V8 will take like a pretty big stand, and I'm pretty limited of like my shop space. Been here 6 years, so it's like I am trying to get like a bigger spot. It just takes time, and it takes honestly a lot of money, and I ain't got a lot of money. I quit my full-time job to focus 100% on my mechanic, and basically I do it because I like to see the smile of somebody's face when they drive away and they had major issues, and that's just how I do it. A lot of people are mechanics because they want to make it rich, and that's not the case. Like, you're gonna get good customers, and loyal customers pay over time. You can charge whatever you want for somebody, but they might only see you once. Now, if you pay, or if you have somebody pay you $200 to do a clutch and a flywheel, but a local shop is charging $1,000, well, 10 to 1, that customer is only going to come back once to that place. Now, you charge them $200, they're going to come back to you for something else, because they know you're not out there to like fully rip them off and all that kind of stuff. And on these guys, I'm not gonna like fully remove them just yet because I want to top the oil pump off, and then you got the remain cover. Normally you have to take like it apart, but I'm not. I think I can manage by just popping it off and popping the oil pump off. And when this motor does get put back together, I don't know when it's gonna get put back together, because like I don't have a lot of funds right now, and I would love to, like a week from now, have $800 to put into it, but I'm trying to get a lift for the shop, and lifts are not cheap, and I am like a local mechanic, and whoa, it's pretty windy out there, guys. The lights just flickered. I wonder if we're gonna lose power. Bet you it's like freaking 70-mile-an-hour winds. Hope we don't, because I haven't had like a backup generator installed yet. I would really love to make it through this video so you guys can all see like what's up. And please like, comment, and hit that notification button so I can put more videos up. If I don't get no likes or comments or seeing people watch, then what's the point about making the video? Pretty much we're almost there. I should be using a socket for this. I should probably, yeah. I do got little ones, so I just wonder if I can make it in between there. Oh, I can. Sweet. And after I get done with this, I'll kind of show you my shop a little bit. I'm still in the process of building stuff for it. I know that's not the right way somebody would do it, but it works, so I don't want to have to take it off the cherry or the engine hoist with the cherry picker or have to pick it up. It did end up picking a nerve in my back, so right now at this moment I probably wouldn't be able to lift it, but normally I can lift them pretty well. Like a full motor, I can pull it out of the car and carry it. That's how I get my swaps for so cheap. Because junkyard like to make deals and be like, yo, if you carry it out, I'll sell it to you for like 200 bucks. I'm like, I got this. And guess what? I fucking carry it out and I walk out with an engine for 200 bucks. When it gets closer to summer, I am going to be going to the junkyards a lot more and pulling swaps where I can fresh them. And I'll kind of walk through how I test to see if an engine is good or bad, because there is certain ways to, if you don't have a way to start it, to tell if it has good compression. Now it's not going to tell you if it has bad valve seals, but shoot, if you can find an engine that has good compression, normally when you pull the head apart, you put new valve seals in it, boom, you're done. Use some valve compost and reseat the valves and be on the way. But I normally like to go for engines that have been rear-ended. One little bolt is being a pain in my ass right now. There we go. Oh, come on. I also manufacture hood pin brackets for like Hondas and stuff. So you can just bolt right where the headlights go. You bolt your little hood pin bracket piece, whatever it's called, I'm not too sure. And you can cut your hole in your hood, and you don't have to, except cutting your hood, you don't have to put no holes into your main support. You just bolt it where your lights go and be on the way. I do sell them. You get passenger and driver side for, I think after taxes, or not taxes, but shipping, is like 40 bucks. And they come steel looking, but I am trying to cut enough of them so I can drop them off at the powder coating place and get them powder coated. And they might go up just a little bit more of the cost, maybe like 45 or 50 bucks. Just depends. I don't make the money. It goes right to paying for the guys down there at the powder coating place to